Hey everyone, welcome back to the Critical Laughter Podcast. This is Scott.
I'm Grant.
And I'm Craig.
And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I know last time we did discuss that we were going to continue with our roles and characters and moving on and stuff like that. But we're trying a little something new. We might do it for a little while. We'll probably annotate it somewhat in the comments or whatever. But today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing kind of a discussion. Because I think near the... before we even started really recording, when we all got together, we realized that we say some really strange things, as you may have already noticed. But we also talk about a lot of really interesting things I've noticed. So I thought, so what we're going to do is I think the schedule right now is every other. We might change it depending on how we feel like this. But yeah, so today we're going to be just doing some just different discussions, on various nerdy related topics, subjects, things.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I mean, so today we're going to be focusing more on a lot of the comic book movies that have been coming out. Obviously, they've been coming out for a while now because...
They have?
I mean, Iron Man came out...
Hey, don't spoil Iron Man for me.
Iron Man
Spoiler alert.
2008, I think?
If you haven't seen Iron Man by now, you deserve to be spoiled.
Statute of limitations has passed. But...
So, to be fair, let's preface this now. This podcast may include some spoiler alerts for the most recent 3 Marvel movies, which are Civil War, Ant-Man, and Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. So if you haven't seen those...
I mean, technically more as well, but like I said, if you haven't seen any of the ones before that, then... yeah, you don't really deserve it.
Well...
But yeah, and if you haven't seen them, let me preface this. If you haven't seen any of the Marvel Studio movies, or if you've only seen a couple of them, go and watch all of them. They're fantastic.
Is Marvel sponsoring this podcast then?
Sponsored by
I
Marvel.
wish.
I wish.
I wish we had a sponsor.
Even if they just said, "Hey, here's some free comic books," I'd be like, "Yes."
So Marvel, if you're listening to this, we'll shamelessly plug you for free comic books. We have been bought.
So Scott has actually been working on a project for a while.
Quite a while.
You want to explain this, Scott? I mean,
I was at work, and it was one day that was just so slow, and I was just bored out of my mind, and so I decided, just for fun, I was going to look at some of the different statistics. It's word vomit.
Statistics. There you go.
I was looking at the various different statistics of various superhero movies, just for fun. I was just kind of looking at them, comparing notes and stuff like that. And then I started writing them down. I started putting them in. I actually started an Excel spreadsheet in Google Drive. And it went from me just looking at them to going, hey, this is kind of interesting. And I wanted to kind of compare how well Marvel is doing, box office wise versus DC. And so I started going through them, and then it got to the point where I started keeping track of all of the stats of all the superhero movies between Marvel and DC that have been released in theaters. So direct to DVD and stuff like that, or TV movies, I didn't count, because originally I was doing box office numbers, but now I also keep track of the reviews on various sites. And I've also been averaging them all together to get an idea of where Marvel is at and where DC is at, movie-wise. So we're not talking, so the fans of the Arrowverse and stuff like that, those aren't included because there's not really a good way to monitor the TV stuff as there is
compared to the movies.
Right. Because, there are reviews and stuff like that, but I might eventually do it if I can come up with a better way to do it.
Could you do more viewers and put them in a completely separate category?
I could, but the problem with that is I don't totally agree with the way the viewers are calculated. Because what they do is they take this random town in Indiana or something like that. I read about it. It's this random town, and then they count all the viewers in there, and then they just kind of guesstimate how that correlates to the rest of the country.
So Indiana is the one deciding what we're going to watch for TV.
Pretty much. I don't know if it's Indiana. It could be somewhere else. But, you get the point. It's just this one random town. And then there's based on that average, then we can guesstimate that the rest of the country is like this. It's like I feel like there's too many people to do that, and everyone has a wide variety of interests.
Yeah.
I mean, even just like the three of us, we have a lot of very like similar interests, but at the same time, we also have interests that the others might care about. But yeah, so I did this, and I've been keeping track of it. I have it updated to box office wise. I have it updated to this past Monday. I try and do it, and well, that's only for the new movies. The older movies, I tend to not update as frequently because I also factor in the inflation rates, and inflation does go up and down a lot. But I tend to wait until it's been a significant jump, so I usually do that on a yearly basis. And then when I do that, I go in through and I update all of the reviews as well, because sometimes those sometimes fluctuate, especially the Amazon reviews. I notice that those will go up and down a lot. So yeah, I have a lot of data.
Yes, you do. I'm looking over some of these numbers already. There's a lot of data here. A lot of numbers.
So I figured let's maybe start talking about franchise-wise and what are the top, 5 franchises. I mean, I know you've calculated much higher than that franchise-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I've calculated individual movies, and I've also done franchises. The only thing that's not up to date, actually, is is Marvel's totals, because I'm gonna see if we can automate it a little bit, because manually calculating the average of 43 movies is
not fun.
A lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, but I can, let's go over some basic averages. If we're just going straight box office, not factoring in budgets or reviews or anything, which I know it's kind of controversial. Some people are like, oh, box office, just because it has a high box office number, it doesn't mean it's a good movie, which is true. I mean, look at Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Spider-Man 3 is huge. I think it's the second highest grossing Spider-Man movie. Yes. But that's because it made a ton on its first couple weekends. So that was before everyone got out and was like, oh my gosh, this was terrible.
Yeah. Was Spider-Man 3 during the Facebook era?
I don't know. It was while I was in high school. I remember that.
Yeah.
It had to be.
I have weird memories of growing up. Scattered everywhere. No, yeah. But I remember I was in high school because I remember I hadn't seen it. Someone else had seen it. I was like, oh, how was it? And they were like, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. It has become, we have 2 movies we level the terribleness, and it's either Spider-Man 3 bad or is it Green Lantern bad?
And Fantastic Flop.
And Fantastic Flop is the newest one.
Yeah.
But
we'll probably go over all those.
Fantastic Flop, I thought was pretty decent.
I do need to watch it before I properly judge it.
Yeah.
But I was saying it was gonna be a flop when they announced the cast. So, and we saw that.
The cast was okay. The story,
I mean, I guess it depends on what you feel. I like when the movies are. I like when they do casting that's very similar to the comic book.
And I can understand
mostly because if you've ever read comic books, if you haven't, I would recommend trying it because it's fun.
It's going to take 15 minutes of your time.
More like your whole life.
You get into it.
As mine. But reading the comic books, it's really neat. It's kind of like reading a book, both pictures and action, pretty much. And I like seeing the character, and I like when you watch that movie, the superhero movie, where it seems like the comic book just jumped, the character from the book just jumped and are on the screen, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So I don't know, that's me personally, that's why I wasn't a fan of Fantastic Flop. That's its new name, by the way. I wasn't a fan of the casting choices because I would say probably at least half of it was just, they didn't look like the comic book counterparts, and that bothered me. So, I mean, but that's me. So, yeah, but anyways. Well, like I said, we'll probably go more into stuff like that because, I know I at least have really strong opinions about some of these movies. So, but yeah, if we want to go through the top, what do you want to go for the top 10 franchises total gross wise?
We'll see how long it takes us because we're already 10 minutes in, so we want to keep these short. So,
We got 20 minutes. It's fine.
Come on, Scott. We gotta move faster.
So, do you want me to go over them, or does someone else want to go over them?
I'll go over them.
Okay. So do them one. I would say do them one by one, and we can discuss them because there are some major points you need to point out. Actually, no. Just go through all of them. I'll do it. I'll do it after.
You point out the points I missed. Let's do that.
So yeah. Go with what you see on first glance.
So first glance, looking at the total comic book movie franchises, we got Marvel and DC. Marvel's total gross is...
Don't go over those ones. Those aren't updated.
Oh, those aren't updated. Okay, never mind.
You can go over the number of movies. Those are fine.
Okay, the movies. Alright, so we got the Batman franchises. Total number of movies is 9, and its total gross is $4,927,515,466.93.
How'd you get it to cents?
That is oddly very specific.
Yeah. And the inflation does that. The inflation does that.
Oh, that makes sense. So
and that is the highest comic book franchise. Like, if you're looking just a superhero, that is the highest one in your
That is the highest grossing comic book franchise out of all of them. Now, I know what everyone's going to say is because I'm Batman.
Yeah.
So, and that's not the case, though. I mean, yes, that's a huge number. Like $4 billion. Yeah. But at the same time, though, you have to look at the number of movies. It's had 9 movies.
Yeah.
I think that's the highest amount of movies. Yeah. That's this, for all the franchises that I have, that is the highest amount of movies. So, yeah, it has a lot of money, but it's had 9 movies to make that money over.
So and I think, if I remember right from when I was looking at these before, so it's $4 billion.
The gross per movie is updated as well. So.
Yeah.
But, The Dark Knight Rises made $1 billion on its own. So that leaves $3 billion for how many other movies?
Well, no. Also, The Dark Knight made $1 billion as well.
Oh, did The Dark Knight make? Yes. I didn't look at that. So we have $2 billion from Nolan, and then $2 billion for 7 other movies.
Well, $2.5 billion from Nolan, and then the rest of it came from the other movies.
So I mean, that's a lot. And so I mean, I think the telling point is when you start getting. I mean, I am predicting a Batman dethroning pretty soon. I mean, especially when you look at the next one, which is the Spider-Man franchise. And
especially after the reactions from Civil War at this point.
Yeah,
everybody has loved him.
The internet has literally just jumped out of their pants.
I would say probably 98% of the reviews I've seen in the movie love Spider-Man.
And he has
I've only seen a handful that were like, oh, I didn't like him.
Yeah, I've seen a handful of people on the internet who are annoyed by Spider-Man, but critics-wise, they almost always mention him. As a
even non-critics, just fans.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I've been looking through a lot of reactions, and most everyone says that. I mean, I even was looking at a Facebook thread that was, "Hey, what's your favorite iteration of Spider-Man?" And there was a few people that were like, "Oh, I really liked Tobey Maguire because I grew up with him, but." Tom Holland was better.
Yeah.
That's the gist you get.
And the interesting thing, looking at Spider-Man though, just looking at numbers quick shot, Spider-Man's got 5 movies and he's only about maybe $300-400 million behind Batman.
Right. And so that's why I said I think the number one, I mean, Batman's been number 1 for as long as I've had this list.
Yeah.
Nothing has dethroned him yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm saying. I think Spider-Man might be able to dethrone it. I mean, the lowest grossing Spider-Man movie, if you look, is $713 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
and that was Spider-Man 2.
That was Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Right. So even if it makes that much, it's gonna pass Batman up.
Although isn't there another Batman? Has another Batman been announced?
No, a new Batman movie has not been announced. Okay. That's why I'm saying I think Spider-Man's gonna do it.
So we have a Spider-Man coming out next year, 2016, in case anybody's listening to this in the far future.
Yeah.
Or the past.
Technically made 19th, 2016, if anyone really wanted to know.
Yeah.
Also, just another thing I wanted to point out, Scott, that I'm noticing. I'm just scanning over the sheet. This is literally the first time I've seen it. X-Men, 7 movies at $3 billion. $3,444 million. Yeah, you get the point. But the thing is that's something that's interesting. Both Superman and X-Men are taking a lower ranking values, but then right above them is the Avengers with just 3 movies. Are you counting? Yeah, it's just 3.
I'm counting Civil War. I'm counting Avengers 1 and Avengers 2. So Sidebar. I did. I had to do some deliberation on some of these because there's some. The way the franchises work, I had to kind of include some. So, like for example, like Batman, I included the Catman from Fairly Odd Parents. I included Catwoman because she is her own character, but her core really is in the Batman franchise. And then another good example would be in Superman. You have Steel and Supergirl. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, those are terrible movies, but yeah. Their core is really in the Superman franchise. Mm-hmm. And so the two hard ones were actually Civil War and Batman vs Superman, because they were technically a certain character's movie, but they incorporated so much from different franchises that they were hard to put down. Like, for example, Civil War was technically a Captain America movie. And if you watch, you can actually tell that the main character is Captain America. But there's so much interaction and so much stuff happening outside of Captain America with other Avengers that I felt like it would only be fair to put it in with the Avengers franchise.
Also, with the Captain America Civil War, it didn't just bring Captain America fans to the theater. It brought Iron Man fans.
It was like we call it Avengers 2.5. That's pretty much what it was. And so yeah, I had to do that, and then Batman vs Superman was the interesting one. I haven't seen it yet. Full disclaimer.
I have.
Mostly because I wasn't enthralled. It didn't enthrall me in with the previews, and so I didn't really care to go see it. I'll probably eventually see it. Just like I'll eventually see Fantastic Flop, but so I actually polled the Salt Lake Comic Con fan page and asked people, hey, what would you classify this as? There was there's a few cheeky comments like oh, it was Wonder Woman movie and stuff like that, but
it was a Wonder Woman movie.
The majority of my favorite was it was like, what was it? It was like 80% Batman, like 20% Wonder Woman, and like 0.5% Superman, because apparently he doesn't like do anything.
He has fewer lines in Batman vs Superman than Spider-Man does in Civil War.
That's so weird to me. But anyway, the majority of people said it should be at Justice League.
It is. It's pre-Justice League. They didn't want to label it Justice League because I don't know why. But
because they only have 3 of them. Like for Justice League,
they showed all the Justice League members.
Really?
They didn't have them all in the movie, but you do see clips of the Flash. You do see clips of Aquaman. You do see clips of Cyborg.
But they're not it's clips, not even...
Yeah, it's more like a cameo.
They are cameos, but it is a Justice League. And it ends with Batman saying, I'm going to go build the Justice League.
Because I'm Batman.
Exactly like
that. Well, no, his reasoning is, it's going to get worse.
I classify this as a Justice League movie, so in case you're wondering, that is not factored into Batman franchise.
And another interesting thing, as we're talking about this movie, Batman vs. Superman, the Rotten Tomatoes ratings that you've also got recorded on your spreadsheet, is the biggest difference. The actual Rotten Tomatoes said 27%, the fans said 67%. There's 40% difference.
See, the interesting thing on that one is actually looking, if you look at, I'd have to do a direct comparison, but from memory, Man of Steel is very similar in that it was a very divisive movie. Like, there wasn't, you look at, Civil War, and you look at the ratings, fan ratings or critic ratings, and box office numbers, they all match up to, it's a good movie.
Yeah, well...
But with Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, the numbers aren't, correlating. There's some people, and even just by polling different fans and talking to different people, there's some people that were like, oh yeah, I love Man of Steel, I love Batman vs. Superman, but then there's also just as many people saying, oh, it was a terrible movie, I hated it. Well, and there's a lot, and then middle ground, there's a lot of people that were like, meh.
And for the people listening, just to throw it in, you mentioned the ratings for Man of Steel. 55% from Rotten Tomatoes, 75% from the audience. It still did better.
So, but it's more even. But yeah,
it is more even.
It's still a very divisive movie.
It is.
Because it's not like unanimous. It's a terrible movie.
Oh,
but it's not unanimous. It's a great movie either.
Another random plug about the Man of Steel. If you did not like Man of Steel, go watch it again. Just try it one more time, because I think a lot more will click. A lot of people who aren't as into comic books sometimes have a hard time with that movie, go watch it again. You'll get a lot more out of it. And if you think about it as a Justice League movie, it settles. And it just makes your life a little bit easier.
I'll try that, because have you seen it, Grant?
Seen which?
Man of Steel.
Not Man of Steel. Batman versus Superman.
Okay. Oh, you're saying
I was going to say, I was a little
Sorry.
confused. I was like,
Okay. I was like, I can go watch Man of Steel again. I didn't care for it the first time.
No, I haven't seen Man of Steel, honestly.
Okay.
I got all I needed from Man of Steel.
Maybe
the
you
first
should
5
watch it,
minutes.
because reaction-wise, from when I poked around the internet, it seems like reactions are very similar to Man of Steel as Batman vs Superman. So you might enjoy it. I didn't care for it. My main beef with that movie is it didn't feel like a superhero movie.
No.
It felt like an alien invasion movie.
It did. And honestly, it's just like how it should have ended for Batman vs Superman, where Deadpool walks up and says, killing is wrong. That's literally the problem of these movies, is Superman has never killed. Now he has. Batman never kills. Now he has.
So where we're getting into that is I feel like one of the, we're going to go on a tangent here. One of the flaws I had...
The whole thing is a tangent.
One of the problems I had with Man of Steel is that, again, spoilers, he kills Zod at the end, and he acts super heartbroken.
Whoa, Craig has not seen that movie.
I've seen Batman vs Superman. I can put the pieces together, guys.
I haven't seen Batman vs Superman, but I know the end of that.
What are you going to do? Break my neck.
But so... and Superman's like super distraught about it, and I felt like there was no lead up for that. Like, I feel like we needed more time to see how Superman was so resistant to killing in order to see that cost. So I feel like it was wasted to have him kill the supervillain.
Oh, that's totally true. And I mean, like I said, I haven't seen Batman vs Superman, so I don't know the exact build-up. But I feel like that same idea of it not enough build-up works for the Justice League. I feel like the franchise from now on, I don't think I read it, but apparently there's rumors going around that Zack Snyder's not with the DCU anymore.
The fans are angry at Zack Snyder.
That he's helming it right now.
Yeah.
So I heard that. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but I have seen a lot of rumors saying that he's going to leave because Batman vs Superman isn't doing terrible. I mean, it's at like
pretty good.
It's almost at 900 million, I think.
Which, let's be honest,
that's almost Avenger level.
Yeah, that's really good. I think it might pass a billion. I am not sure, because it has been going down a lot. But at the same time, though, the thing is you can't look at box office numbers only. And that's the reason. That's one of the reasons I branched off, because like we already mentioned, there's several movies that weren't good movies, but they made a lot of money. I think Batman vs Superman made a lot of its money on its first weekend because the hype train was like unreal for Batman vs Superman.
Oh, it was so crazy.
I don't understand. I've said this like a million times. I don't understand why the hype was so like huge for this, because if you really look at it, the Batman that was being shown in Batman vs Superman was a different Batman than the Dark Knight trilogy. So you can't base any of your hype on that. Mm-mm. And then the only other movie you had that was in the same universe was Man of Steel, which was a very meh movie.
It was right down the middle.
So it baffled me why the hype was so high. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna like be out Avengers. Like DC is gonna like just start beating everything down." And I was just like you have no basis for these claims.
Here's what I think about it: is I think they had possibly the potential to do it just because Superman and Batman are the biggest comic book characters. So even without movie build-up, they're the biggest. Which is why...
No, I mean, I can understand that to a point. But, the hype was still unwarranted. Because, I mean, the character... You could have a great character, but if the movie's not doing... If you don't have a good movie about it, it means nothing. Look at Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Flop?
Look at any of the Fantastic Four movies, to be honest.
Look at the X-Men movies. The X-Men movies, we already mentioned them. They've already had 7 movies, and they're nowhere close to, Batman and...
Or even the Avengers, who have had 3 movies. Technically 2.5, but we're counting it as 3.
That Civil War is worth 3 movies in itself.
Oh, Civil War's awesome.
It's beautiful. Go see it if you haven't.
But, yeah, I mean, the thing is it... And I mean, here's a great example of the characters don't really matter that much. Look at Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes,
Guardians of the Galaxy before it came in the movie, even in the comics, it wasn't like It wasn't like that big of a comic. I mean, there was a small run that was great in like the early 2000s, I think, and then there was the original one, which was way back, which
It was totally different.
It was completely different. So the one they based the movie off of was the early 2000s one, which I went and read before because I kind of like seeing how well they did adapting it. But yeah, like Guardians of the Galaxy was not like a well-known property. Everyone, when they announced it, everyone was like, oh, Marvel's first flop. And as we've seen, obviously we don't want to listen to these people. So yeah, and then you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, it is only has one movie in its franchise right now, and it is at 777 million.
Yes.
Which is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th.
Yeah.
11th highest grossing franchise.
With one movie.
One movie. Guardians of the Galaxy. And so, like, I mean, you have to have some good source material, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's the character, like, the movie makes a huge difference as well. I mean, like bring up Man of Steel again. I feel like we're just beating the snot out of this.
Beating the snot out of that dead horse.
Sorry, Man of Steel.
But you weren't that bad, but you were pretty bad.
Well, or as the How It Should Have Ended said, Wonder Woman was like, you did not smile and you killed people.
So I mean, yeah, Superman is one of the most iconic heroes. I would say he's probably more iconic than probably any Marvel superhero. Because I think he is. I mean, he has the name recognition, and he was the first mainstream superhero, wasn't he?
Basically, I mean, there are a couple that were technically
I think Batman was first.
No.
I think
Superman?
I'm pretty sure Superman was
on
first.
the TV shows?
Not TV shows, I mean, just in general. Like, comics
in
wise,
comics.
right?
Okay, that's
I believe Superman was the first, and so, he has the name recognition. I mean, even if you're not in comics, you know who Superman is. Yeah. I mean, now it's completely different because Marvel's changed the game.
Yeah.
But Superman has the name recognition. He should have good movies. And as a sidebar, again, I don't hate DC. I prefer Marvel. And I would actually like it if DC made good superhero movies because I like superhero movies. They're fun. They're awesome. And so I don't want DC to fail. I want them to make good movies. It's just they haven't had the best track record, ever.
Yeah.
Even their best was still, So it was just even their best, bringing up the Dark Knight trilogy, we're probably gonna get just, crucified. I'm gonna get crucified for saying this anyways. I don't know if it still holds up as, the best trilogy. The bars have been raised so much, since they've come out.
I'll disagree on that one. I still go back and I'll watch the Batman trilogy, and the thing is it still sends chills up my spine. The Marvel movies do that too, but that trilogy just...
especially...
compared to the Avengers. I mean, because I feel like most people say Avengers, it was set a new bar.
Avengers did set a new bar. I agree with that, but the thing is I will still go back and watch the Batman trilogy. I'll still go back and watch the Avengers too, but just as likely, I'll also watch that Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to go back and rewatch them again, but in my mind, from everything I remember about all the movies I've seen, I still feel like Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy is still a great trilogy, but I don't think it holds up as well. I mean, when you talk to most people that defend DC movies, that's the only thing they bring up. They're like, what about the Dark Knight trilogy? And it's that, I mean, yeah, but what if you're talking about Marvel, what about Ant-Man? What about Avengers? What about Iron Man? What about Captain America Civil War? There's so many more. You can't ride on the Dark Knight trilogy forever. No. You eventually have to have something good. And since the Dark Knight trilogy, they really haven't brought anything to the table.
Well, and I think DC's mistake is not necessarily not bringing more to the table. I think it's isolating.
I don't mean more as in number wise. I mean more as in better quality.
Well, it's not necessarily the better quality. I think what DC's biggest mistake was not tying in the universe together, because you got Marvel. The TV universe is tied in with the movie universe.
That's true.
And it supports and it helps and it. But the thing is the TV universe for DC is separate. The Dark Knight trilogy is off on its own.
Oh yeah.
If you could have brought that Batman over, even if it was 50 years down the road, you did a flash forward and you had him train a new Batman or something.
Batman Beyond.
You would have touched that. You would have connected to that. But the thing is, there's no connection. There's no touching.
Yeah, they push the reset button.
They do
on their universe. Which
look at Fantastic Four and the X-Men. They're the they're struggling because they keep getting reset, and
Which, to be fair, that's
X-Men did okay with
They
the
decided
reset.
to half reset.
They cheated the reset. But what's going to happen?
That's going to be another episode for us.
Well, also, let's look at the interesting thing. What's going to happen to the X-Men when Hugh Jackman retires? He has
That's true. He's one of the biggest carriers.
Yeah.
I feel like Jennifer Lawrence is beginning to become that because she's been in
but
it.
I'm not as big as Hugh Jackman.
No, it's true.
Like they've made and that's not even Hugh Jackman's fault, really. I mean, he does an amazing job as Wolverine. But I think a big part is Fox puts him at the forefront of like all the X-Men franchise.
I'm surprised the man hasn't worked himself to death.
I mean,
I'm trying to think if he wasn't.
There's a couple.
He did a cameo in First Class,
right?
But other than that,
he
will be in Apocalypse.
He wasn't in Future Past. He will be in Apocalypse, but I don't know if it's a huge role.
It's enough that they're bringing him in because that right there is going to bring Wolverine fans in.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when that happens. But yeah. So there's a lot of interesting stuff you can mull from just looking at these numbers.
Yeah.
And I mean the biggest thing to pull away from this is even if you're not looking at box office numbers, we'll probably have to go through it in another episode because we're getting close to wrapping up time.
Yep.
And but like even if you just look at the ratings, Marvel has DCB, and it's not even a number of movies.
Yeah.
If you average everything out, like Marvel is just doing better. Marvel's making better movies. And like I said, I don't hate DC. I actually want them to do better because it'll be cool. It'd be cool to see DC bring something to the table, but like
DC doing better will push Marvel to do better,
right?
Yeah.
And so
everything.
Let's be honest,
it's a creative market, yeah.
Like we did really like the Nolan trilogy.
Oh yeah,
like it was fantastic, and I would love to see more movies like that, or that same quality, because obviously they were different tone and everything. Yeah, but again, you're right. More entertainment is only good for us. Whichever company it is. I will gladly the reason we haven't seen Batman vs Superman is because it doesn't appeal to us, and so they're losing out on our money and other people's money, which we would gladly spend if it was at the same appeal as Avengers is for us and the other Marvel movies.
Right. And I think like I said, we're getting close to wrapping up point. Let's go ahead and we'll go around. We'll say our final thoughts on what's been discussed. There's a lot. There's franchises. I mean, we definitely do need to go more into this. We might have to do a part 2 to this.
I think we will.
But on what we've discussed, which is, we kind of went away from it and we kind of went into DC versus Marvel franchises.
Did.
So my final thoughts are, like I've said before, I want DC to do better. And I think their biggest flaw in it was, I think they tried to catch up with Marvel in too short of a space of time.
Yes.
I think if they would have followed the Marvel formula, people might have went, they're copying. But if they would have followed the formula of doing individual movies that tie in together, that culminate in Justice League, that would have worked a lot better than trying to shoehorn everything in 2 movies, actually, I think. Is Justice League next, or is Wonder Woman coming?
Wonder Woman is
so even then, that's like 3 movies. They're trying to shoehorn the entire Justice League into 3 movies.
No. Actually, Wonder Woman's going to be all on her own.
It's not even going to connect to the Justice League.
It will and it won't.
There might be a cameo.
Spoiler alert! Really quick, if you have not seen the movie, please stop listening at this point. Go watch it. You should have
stopped listening a while ago.
But Wonder Woman is actually, her story is spread out through history a lot longer than Superman and Batman. So they're going back in time.
Okay.
It is very much a prequel. They're going back in time.
Okay, so not even 3. So they're trying to shoehorn the entire Justice League in 2 movies. That'd be like if Marvel went, okay, Iron Man versus Hulk, and in the first one, and then it was like, and then with cameos, with Captain America randomly showing up, and like with this person randomly showing up, and then Incredible Hulk did its own thing, and then then they did Iron Man 2 or Captain America, and they're like, heck, Avengers. Like it wouldn't have worked as well. So honestly,
they made us love the characters before they ever came together.
Well, yeah. So and that's
except for Widow.
So
Widow.
That's my opinion is Avengers did so well that DC was like, we need that. So let's do Justice League, which great idea, except they tried to do it too fast. And I think, it's kind of murky waters for the future of the DC universe.
Especially for Flash. I'm sorry to say, I'm a big fan of the Flash TV show.
Yeah, it's great.
But I like that Flash. I like that Barry Allen. I am not liking this new guy so far. And I've only seen him in 2 scenes.
Yeah, so I think
well, that's part of the problem, I think, is that since you've only seen him in 2 scenes, that's your whole basis for him.
For Justice League.
Whereas, there's stuff in each of the superhero movies where we probably dislike something about that character, but overall, you get a good feel for
they grow on you as well.
Yeah, so
I mean, like, even if you hated Tony Stark in the first Iron Man,
or the second,
or
the third,
he grows on you because there's Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, and then in Avengers. So
you see him grow.
He builds, he grows. You see him grow instead of just like, oh, let's fight. Oh, hey, Avengers.
Avengers assembled.
My final thought on that matter is I think that was their biggest stumbling block is they tried to do it too quick. They should have spaced it out.
Yes.
Focused on making quality movies that eventually led to Justice League, and they shouldn't have they should have been like, okay, that's cool. We want what Marvel has, but it takes time.
It takes time.
You can't take the cupcakes out of the oven before they're done.
And one thing,
are you sure? Because the batter's still pretty good.
Half molten batter.
So one thing the Justice League does have that Marvel doesn't, and this will be my final thought. Justice League has the rights to everything. Like Warner Brothers hasn't sold out the rights like Marvel. Marvel's fighting a very perilous war with,
and yet they still struggle to make quality movies.
That's the thing is. Warner Brothers, you've got all their stuff. DC, you've got all of it. Give us what we grew up with. So that's my final thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that, and that's a baffling matter that we'll probably have to delve into another part.
Yeah, we're
way
well,
over.
So for my final thought,
time.
I think I might actually disagree with Craig a little bit and say that I wonder if that has helped Marvel a little bit, that they had to get a little more creative with how they did it. Because, if they had Spider-Man, maybe they would have just shot off the gun with him, and maybe it would have worked out. But because their most famous people were out with other companies, they got to bring people out of the woodwork, like Iron Man, who before, he was one of the upper heroes in Marvel, but I still think
B level.
Yeah, B level. But, to the everyday person, they didn't know who he was. And now he's the favorite. Let's be honest. He's the top hero in people.
I read an article that said one of the reasons Civil War did so good is because Robert Downey Jr. was in it.
Yeah, and that's I'm gonna
it's so true.
And it's true. I mean, there's so much to love about Civil War, and that's not the only thing. But it's like
everything.
Why is it though? That's one of the things that made it good, and this is going to be another thing.
Well, and everything for Iron Man and Civil War has been building for Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Avengers 1, Iron Man 3, Avengers 2. Every single one of those movies has built up Iron Man for this movie.
Oh, yeah, it was total build up.
And that just makes it awesome.
Yeah, but no, those are.
So I think not having the rights has forced Marvel to go to the less known people and has worked out really well.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of some people's objections to Marvel reacquiring the rights to like the X-Men and Fantastic Four is they're worried that Marvel's going to focus too much on those. Which I know some people are probably they're already doing it because they shoehorn Spider-Man in. But at the same time, though, I can't complain because Tom Holland's Spider-Man is
fantastic.
Look, how much screen time?
Amazing.
Like he did not get nearly as much screen time, but the time he got, I have yet to hear someone say they did not love him.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think I don't think it's going to be a problem because I think Marvel knows what works now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think I can agree. I can totally agree with you that they might before if that happened, they might not have went with this formula, but because they've done it and they know what makes money, they know what works. They're not going to cut it. They might throw some people, like if they get X-Men back, they might, throw X-Men in, they might try and throw X-Men in just because they know it works, but I think they'll also try and do it because of the story. They're very focused on the story.
Well, that and if they got the X-Men back, the Inhumans movie is gone.
Not necessarily. I think it could still work.
I think it would be gone.
I don't know. I think that's for another podcast. Yeah. We're already 10 minutes over.
But yeah, Yeah, we'll probably have to do a part 2 because there's still a lot to discuss.
Yeah, we didn't even touch half of your sheets.
Oh, no, like, we barely even touched it. And, I mean, this is why we wanted to do this discussion, because look what happened. Like, tons of gold stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, we'll probably cut it off there. If you want to follow us on various social networking sites, right now we have Twitter. By the time this goes up, we'll probably have a bunch of other stuff. Just look for Critical After.
We'll also include probably copies of the sheets to maybe PDF versions, so you guys can see what numbers we're seeing.
Yeah, we might. I might filter them out a little bit because
there's a lot of information.
Yeah, there's a lot of information.
We'll clean them up and then put them.
I think I've been experimenting with like doing some like graphs and stuff up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep an eye out for probably the next part of this conversation, and also the next part of our RPG session.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is I have been Scott.
I'm Grant.
And I'm Craig.
And we'll see everyone next time.